And the purpose of recruiting is to identify and attract and hire the most qualified people. And there's often fierce competition, but right now we know that's definitely the case because of all the labor disruptions. And so we can, again, expand our reach and also expedite the process through the use of technology. If we can attract more applicants and we can expedite our ability to make offers of employment to the most qualified people, that's going to make us more effective, and technology can help us to do that through online recruiting. 54% of job seekers look online for jobs. So a lot of that population that we may be looking for is looking online. But we have to consider whether we are actually opening up and attracting the right candidates through online recruiting, and what type of public face, what type of first impression are we making in that process. And so we have to think about, yes, attracting qualified candidates, but we have to also consider what is their experience. If we want to hire the best, then the perceptions of the best of our company that they get through this online recruiting process is definitely something we need to consider. So let's drill down on this a little bit more, because technology and online recruitment can really help us to move the needle on the goals that we have for recruitment, and can help us to achieve a strategic advantage. The average cost of recruiting and hiring someone was around $4,100, and that it took about 42 days to complete the process. Now, that was research from SHRM, and while it came from 2016, I think it's great benchmarking research. It's good to know what kind of the average is, and are we doing better than average, or do we need to improve to be better than average? The way we're going to improve and meet that objective is to map out the recruiting process and look for the bottlenecks, and look and see, is technology a way of helping us to remove some of those barriers, or is it one of the barriers that we need to change? Many organizations are moving to applicant tracking systems that help to remove some of the administrative burden of online recruiting. These systems help to automate some of what used to be done by individuals, and helps to expedite response times. Another way that we can expedite the process is to incorporate automatic screening capabilities. And so scanning technology that can look for keywords that might have to do with job qualification, and we might be able to determine, and can determine in many cases, whether minimum qualifications are met through an automated AI process. We can use our HRIS to monitor various metrics and how they might be used to model what future recruitment results might be if we modify how we do recruiting. There's a lot of evidence that organizations think that online recruiting is more effective. There is evidence that it's 70% faster than more traditional methods of recruiting, and it allows the organization to spend less labor gathering and sorting through information about applicants. A study from Fortune where companies could use online recruitment and thereby reduce their average hiring cycle from 43 days down to 6 days. So there's quite a bit of evidence here that we can better achieve some of these recruiting objectives through the use of technology. We want to attract employees that are going to stick with the organization and be successful in their jobs. So it's important that they have a realistic view of the work and the organization so that potential employees can decide if they don't fit and would rather work somewhere else. Part of this involves establishing an accurate psychological contract where the employee's beliefs about their obligations and the reciprocal obligations of the organization towards them match reality. One method we've tried to achieve this traditionally is through a realistic job preview, where we spell out all the goods and the bads of a job. And this is different than some approaches to recruiting where they only emphasize the good to attract as many applicants as possible. The problem with that is that you hire some people and they have false expectations. They have beliefs about their obligations to the organization and the organization's obligations to them that aren't accurate. So it's important that we think about the message that we're sending about the job, about the organization, and that it be accurate. And we have to be mindful that we are branding ourselves, and we have to think about what message are we sending to potential employees. And we may get a larger quantity of applicants when we adopt online recruiting approaches, and it may require us to sort through more people. And we may turn to technologies to help with that, but we have to be very careful and make sure that we aren't introducing unintentional discrimination that might result in less diversity of hires that we have. And so we have to look at those keywords that we're using if we're using this AI technology and make sure that they're really job related. And we have to think about how accessible our computer systems are and make sure that, regardless of people's backgrounds with technology, that they can navigate and use our systems. So the design of our website is very important, and we need to think about navigability. And so we need to look at whether the links that we have work and try and follow that 3-click rule, that a person shouldn't have to click more than 3 times to get to the information and where they're going. We also want to look at that content. We talked about how it should be welcoming to all people that are applying, but we also have to remind ourselves it's got to be up to date. Sometimes that recruiting information can be old and not relevant, and so we need to have a mechanism to manage the content on that website to maintain its currency. Media richness theory, and basically it says that if media and technology can reduce user uncertainty and ambiguity, then they're going to be positive results of that. And they show research using employee testimonials, we can reduce the uncertainty of applicants and obtain greater attraction in the recruits. Again, the idea of self-selection is some people may, through the process, realize that they don't have the qualifications of the job, or this isn't the type of organization they think they would fit into. And it's okay that people select themselves out. Actually, that's good as long as we're sending the right messages, accurate messages, in order to achieve that end. Of course, we want to think about aesthetics. How does this look? What is the style of the website? And it's good that we seem contemporary. We want to signal to people that it's a vibrant organization and that we have the resources to present ourselves in a way that is relevant to today. Now, this may be difficult for smaller firms, but it might be even more critical because attracting those qualified applicants is going to be even more important to them. Many enterprise resource planning systems now have recruiting and screening oriented functions built in, where there's the capability to list job openings but also accept application material at the same time. And that is often part of what an ERP is serving HR in terms of that recruiting function in contemporary organizations. Many good research based guidelines, evidence based best practices for online recruiting. They include that you should think about branding when you are doing online recruiting, that there should be as many sources as possible for recruiting, and that organizations should be aware of the limitations of any one method and not just go with online recruiting. Organizations should really be considered with usability, navigation, and aesthetics and design in order to attract the best candidates. We need to make sure that those screening systems that we use are really based on job analysis and are job relevant. And that's one of the best ways that we can minimize potential adverse impact that could creep in through these screening systems. We need to review effectiveness and make sure that we're continually monitoring, because recruiting is within a dynamic environment, and what was effective yesterday is likely to not be as effective today or change in some way, and we have to be monitoring and be flexible in order to stay ahead of the game. We need to be careful about being culturally sensitive and open to diversity. It goes back to our branding. It needs to be accurate, yes. It also needs to take the perspective of the applicant, and we have to think about what are they seeing. At the same time, we need to ensure the privacy of our applicants and should make sure that online recruiting protects their identities and the data that they entrust to us.